Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
Hello, adorable charms. You're most welcome to Everything Literature, where you get to learn about everything concerning drama, prose, the most inspiring poetry. Take a seat and enjoy the class.
Did you know that there are different kinds of sonnets? Or that what we often refer to as Shakespearean sonnets was actually not developed by the bard of Avon himself. Shakespearean sonnets are topics that are frequently studied in schools. Examples of sonnets are often used to demonstrate the beauty of poetry. Truth be told, samples of sonnets, which include Shakespearean sonnets, can help to learn about a lot of things, including flow of thought, figures of thought, rhyme scheme, and so on. Hence, the focus for today's class will be on types of poetry. Specifically, we'll be talking about sonnets. Mention them: the Italian sonnets, the English sonnets, the Miltonic sonnets, the Spenserian sonnets. I guess you thought we only have the Shakespearean sonnet. You never knew we had something like the Miltonic or the Spenserian. Wow. So that means we'll be taking a look at these four types of sonnets. And while we delve into the class, what is sonnet? A sonnet is a form of lyric poetry that originated in Italy in the 13th century. The word sonnet is derived from the Italian word sonetto, which means little sound or little song. The sonnet is a poem that expresses a single and a complete thought, idea, or sentiment. It is made up of 14 lines. Take note of that. The 14 lines, usually 5-foot iambic pentameters. Take note of the 5-foot iambic pentameters, with lines arranged according to one of a certain definite rhyme schemes. So there are specific rhyme schemes that we have to follow when a sonnet is being written. So take note what we mean by a sonnet. A sonnet is made up of 14 lines, usually 5-foot iambic pentameter, with lines arranged according to definite rhyme schemes. If you take note of the definition, we mentioned something as regards iambic pentameter. So we can't really talk about sonnets without a proper understanding of what we mean by iambic pentameter. Iambic pentameter simply means within the 14 lines of a sonnet follows an iambic pentameter. That is, within the 14 lines of a sonnet, we must have what we call iambic pentameter. That is, each line contains 5 hymns or sets of 2 syllables. Okay, you're going to get it by the time we have a sample where the first syllable is unstressed and the second syllable is stressed. For example, he rose, he rose. Okay, so in this we have 2 syllables, the unstressed syllable and the stressed syllable. So when we talk about pentameter, it simply means the penta in pentameter means 5. So penta simply means 5. So we count 5 meters for each line of the 14 lines in a sonnet. Each line must contain what we call 5 meters. Therefore, it is a set of 2 unstressed and stressed syllables. So the way we count the penta, which actually means beat, is by a very good example is the, dum, the, dum, the, dum, the, dum. So the da, dum is actually like a beat. Da, dum together, it's like a beat. But within that beat, we have the unstressed and distressed. So the da is like the unstressed syllable, and the dum is like the stressed syllable. Okay, let's delve into it fully. Take a look at this. Iambic pentameter simply means line of verse with 5 beats. It is 5 penta, where each beat falls on the second syllable. So within da, dum, the one we count as the beat is usually the stressed one, the one that is stronger than the first one, okay? And that is usually the second syllable. So if we take a look at this, to be, it's more or less like the, dum, or not, the, dum, to be, the, dum, that is, the, dum, the question, to be or not to be, that is the question. So that's more or less like the iambic pentameter, like we counted the beats, kind of making use of the syllables. Okay, I hope you get that, but we're going to take a look at it in one of the examples. Okay, so the three major types of sonnets are actually the Petrarchan or Italian sonnet, the Miltonic sonnet, and the Shakespearean or Elizabethan sonnet. Okay, I mentioned 4 earlier, but I'm trying to indicate now that we have 3 major ones. You come across these 3. In most cases, the 4th one may not be mentioned, but we have 4 in general, 3 major ones. So the first one we're going to take a look at is the Petrarchan or Italian sonnet. This type of sonnet, that is the Petrarchan sonnet, consists of 2 parts or systems. They are called, one, the major part, known as the octave, and the octave is made up of 8 lines. Okay, and we have the minor part, which is the sestet. Now the sestet is made up of the last 6 lines. So do not forget, a sonnet is made up of 14 lines. So according to the Italian sonnet, the 14 lines are actually divided into 2. We have the first part, which is the major part, and that's called the octave. Okay, and the octave simply means it has 8 lines. So 8 lines out of 14 lines, that makes up the first stanza. Okay, and the minor part, which is the second part of the poem, is made up of the sestet, and the sestet simply means 6 lines. Okay, and something special about the Petrarchan or the Italian sonnet is the fact that there is usually a pause or turning point towards the end of the octave, and this pause or turning point is technically referred to as the volta. Okay, the volta usually appears in the 9th line, so it's usually like the intersection between the octave and the sestet. Okay, so the structure of an Italian sonnet goes thus. It goes hand in hand with the thematic content of the poem. Okay, so the structure should follow. Now, what we mean by that is that the octave level, there's usually a case of a problem or a situation or an incident being stated, and the sestet will be followed by a resolution. That is, you provide a resolution or a solution to the problem at the sestet, the second stanza. And the rhyme scheme for a Petrarchan or Italian sonnet is usually A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A, kind of. Okay? And this is fixed. It has to go that way. A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A for the octave. Okay? And this is very important to note. Now, there is someone called Giacomo da Latini, and is usually ascribed to be the inventor of this form of poetry. So the person who invented the Italian sonnet is actually Giacomo da Latini. But just as the case we have with Shakespeare as well, there is a more reverend Italian poet whose name happens to be Francesco Petrarca. So Petrarca is more popular, more revered, more known during his time in Italy than Giacomo da Latini. So with this, the Italian sonnet happens to be named after him, after Francesco and not Giacomo Latini. Okay, so the Italian sonnet should technically be referred to as Latini sonnet or Giacomo sonnet. Giacomo is not really well known as such, so Francesco Petrarchan got the naming, got the nomenclature. Okay, though we have some other notable sonneteers from Italy, which includes Dante Alighieri, Giotto Cavalcanti, and Michelangelo, just to mention but a few. Okay, so remember I mentioned that the rhyme scheme of the octave is fixed. For the Italian sonnet, it's A B B A A B B A. But for the sextet, it can vary. Okay, the only thing is that it may consist of an arrangement of 2 or 3 rhymes, as long as the last 2 lines do not form a couplet. That is, they do not rhyme. So the last 2 lines of an Italian sonnet must not rhyme. They do not rhyme. Okay, so the arrangement of the sextet is usually something like C D C D C D, kind of. Okay, or C D E C D E. Okay, what we're just trying to avoid is the fact that maybe we have E E at the end. The couplet refers to the last 2 lines of a poem. Okay, the last 2 lines of a poem. Okay, so C D C D C D. That's the rhyme scheme for the sextet of an Italian sonnet. Okay, and a very good example that matches this is actually William Wordsworth. The word is too much Wales. The word is too much Wales. So we studied this in the second part of our types of poetry series. Okay, so with that, let's move on without taking too much of our time. I intentionally want us to study William Shakespeare's poem because it's better we study something that it's truly Italian sonnet in nature. And with this, I have here Giacomo da Latini's poem, one of his sonnets. Okay, let's take a look at it. I have seen it rain on sunny days, and seen the darkness flash with light, and even lightning turn to haze. Yes, frozen snow turn warm and bright, and sweet things taste of bitterness. And what is bitter taste most sweet, and enemies their love confess, and good close friends no longer meet. Yet stranger things I have seen of love, who healed my wounds by wounding me. The fire in me he quenched before, the life he gave was the end thereof. The fire that slew eluded me. Once saved from love, love now burns more. Okay, so if we take a look at this poem, we'll notice the end of the first line and the third line actually rhyming. Days and haze, then light and bright actually rhymes, and bitterness and confess actually rhymes. Sweet and meat actually rhymes. Then we have the next sextet, love and before, wounding me, okay, and thereof. You can see that's actually then the me eluded me now rhymes. So we now have bonds more, thereof actually rhymes. Okay, so we can just take note of how the structure actually works in terms of the rhyme scheme for a sonnet. The A B B A and the C D C D kind of thing. Okay. The second one is the Miltonic sonnet. The Miltonic sonnet. Wow. Okay. So, who invented the Miltonic sonnet? The Miltonic sonnet happens to be named after John Milton. The Miltonic sonnet is one of the main sonnet forms and was popularized by the poet John Milton, who was born in 1609 in London, England. Best known for his epic poem Paradise Lost. You must have heard of the poem Paradise Lost. Okay. So the Miltonic sonnets. What is it all about? This type of sonnet is named after the English poet John Milton, just as I rightly said. It is similar to the Italian form, but the only difference is that the Miltonic sonnet does not observe the pairs or turn at the end of the octave. Rather, the poet lets the octave to run on into the sextet. Okay. With that, it means that we do not observe a pulse. In the Italian sonnet, we observe the pulse, and we have what we call the volta. Okay, but here we really don't have what we call the volta. Okay, so this type of sonnet evolved from the Shakespearean sonnet, and they usually have themes about internal struggles instead of that of the material world. The context of the poems took on an air of self-reflection. That is, it talks about self-reflections, morals, and interior thinking. It should be noted that the Miltonic sonnet sometimes does not conform to the traditional rule regarding the length of a sonnet. But what really makes a sonnet is the fact that it has to be 14 lines. So the rhyme scheme for the Miltonic is ABBA, ABBA, CDE, CDE, kind of like the Italian, okay, in form. So let's take a look at sample of Miltonic sonnets. We have this poem, When I Consider How My Light is Spent, by John Milton himself. When I consider how my light is spent, of my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent, to serve therewith my maker and present, my true account less returning. Child, though God exact day labor light denied, I fondly ask, but patience to prevent, that murmur soon replies. Wilt thou not need either man's work or his own gift, who best bear his mild joy, they serving best. His state is kingly, thousands at his bidding speed, and pushed over land and sea without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. So, honestly, yes, if we were to consider the content of this poem, it's deep, it's powerful because it happens to make use of the metaphor light, and it's a poem that John Milton was actually used in reflecting on an aspect of his life, when he was actually going through some certain things in his life. All of a sudden, he was losing his sight, and he was just reminiscing on how he has spent the light part of his years, the bright part of his years, the seeing part of his years, and he was trying to query God, asking God questions. And funny enough, in the poem, he was able to account that God answered his monologue, or his interior monologue, so to say. Okay, and without taking too much time, we move to the next one, which is a Shakespearean or Elizabethan sonnet. Remember the Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaves hath all too short a date. Okay, so a Shakespearean sonnet published in 1591. The sonnet sets Astrophil and Stella by Sir Philip Sidney established the form of the English sonnet. So it's better you first know it as the English sonnet and not just the Shakespearean sonnet, because it was actually invented by Sir Philip Sidney, popularized by Shakespeare himself. The second most common form of the sonnet is the English sonnet, otherwise known as the Shakespearean or Elizabethan sonnet. These sonnets are divided into 4 stanzas, comprising 14 lines in total. The first 3 stanzas are quatrains, meaning they contain 4 lines each. So a poem of 4 lines are actually called quatrain. Okay? The final stanza is a couplet, meaning it contains 2 lines. The volta appears in the 3rd quatrain, and the traditional rhyme scheme is A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. So the G, G there obviously indicates that we are having a couplet. Okay, the English sonnets typically adhere to Pentameter more strictly than Italian sonnets. Each line traditionally consists of 10 syllables divided into 5 pairs. Remember, an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. Okay, wow. Now with that, let's take a look at Sir Philip Sidney's poem, Astrophil and Stella. It's essential to quickly take note of this. This is the first of 108 sonnets in Philip Sidney's set. Philip Sidney was able to write about 108 sonnets, though Shakespeare wrote more than he did. Shakespeare was able to write about 154. That's like the highest form of sonnets written by a poet. Okay, so and this stanza of the poem Astrophil and Stella is like the opening scene for a love story. Loving in truth, and then in verse my love to show, that she might take some pleasure of my pain. Pleasure might cause her reading might make her know, knowledge might pity win, and pity grace obtain. I sought fit words to paint the blackest face of woe, studying inventions, find our wits to entertain, outturning others' lips to see if hands would flow, some fresh and fruitful showers upon my sunburnt spring. But words came halting forth, wanting invention's stay. Invention, nature's child, fled step dames, studies blows, and others' feet still seem but strangers in my way. Thus great with child to speak, and helpless in my troth, biting my trumped pen, biting myself for spite. Fool said my muse to me, look in thy heart and write. Wow, such a very powerful form, making use of metaphors here and there. You wouldn't know, maybe he was actually talking about true lovers or talking about the love of a writer and writing. Honestly, I have a feeling that Philip Sidney, or should I say the poet's persona, was actually like banking on the muse according to the Greek mythology. That's how possibly by the time my lover reads this poem, she would fall in love better with me, because this is a powerful sonnet, kind of. And it was more or less like using a sonnet to woo his beloved. Okay, and with that, if we take a look at it, why is it called Shakespearean or Elizabethan sonnets? Other notable authors of the English sonnet include Michael Drayton and Fox Grovel, but the most prestigious is obviously William Shakespeare. Even though Shakespeare did not invent the sonnet style, he was among the most prolific. Just as I said earlier, he wrote about 154 sonnets in his lifetime. Wow, that's super amazing. Okay, we have the Spenserian sonnet. Wow, we have someone called Sir Edmund Spenser. Sir Edmund Spenser, a 16th century English poet, attempted to improve on the English sonnet. While his work included 3 quatrains and a couplet, he would also connect quatrains by rhyming the last line of one with the first line of the next. This resulted in a rhyming couplet between the quatrains. The rhyming scheme that resulted was A, B, A, B, B, C, B, C, C, D, C, D, E, E. Okay, so the technical aspect of sonnet is not really the focus of today's class. It's just to expose us into what a sonnet is and the types of sonnets that we have. So we've been able to take a look at the 4 types of sonnets, and that's why I really do not want to take too much time concentrating on the analysis of the poems that we have. Okay, so with that, timeline of the sonnets from one sonnet to another. The first one happens to be the Italian sonnet, which was in the 13th century, followed by the Shakespearean sonnets, or the English sonnet, 16th century. Then we have Sir Edmund Spenser in the 16th century as well, just making slight modification. And we have the Miltonic sonnet in the 17th century. So with that, we have come towards the end of the class. I hope you enjoyed the class, getting to understand what a sonnet is all about, talking about a poem that is 14 lines in number, and it's actually from the Italian word sonetto, like a little sound. Or what makes this sound or the little sound is the fact that we're able to make use of 5-foot iambic pentameters, and these 5-foot iambic pentameters are arranged in a way whereby they make rhyme schemes at the end of the day. The A, B, A, B, or should it be A, B, B, A, kind of depending. And possibly you want it to end with a couplet, or you don't want it to end with a couplet. And with this, we've come to the end of the class. If you really gained a lot from this class, do well to subscribe. Hit the subscription button, or also like the video, and do well to share. I am Olamide from Everything Literature. Get to see you in the next class. Thank you.
Enjoy this masterpiece by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaves hat all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexions dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing cause untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall never fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou west, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in the shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe, or eyes can see, so long live this, and this gives life to thee.